Alright. You guys know that this video was coming. If you've been paying attention to any amount of CS news over the last week or so, then you know what we're going to talk about today. It has been leaked by both KRL on Twitter and Sheep Esports News on their website that after this current season, after the Shanghai Major, Niko will be leaving G2 to join the Falcons in January 2025. According to their unnamed sources, this deal has been agreed upon by both teams but currently does not have Niko's signature of approval, but it is assumed that he will agree to it soon and this deal is considered all but done internally. This would be one of the largest individual trades for a player in the history of Counter-Strike, with the rumored buyout being between 1 and 1.2 million and a 3-year contract with the Falcons. This also comes with the stipulation of it also being a potentially disastrous trade for Niko's future. Now, that is of course just my added opinion on top of it, that's not what they've said, but I bring it up because my hesitancy in reporting on this so far comes from the fact that I do not see a single reason why Niko would want to make this trade if his goal is to be in contention to win majors and big tournaments, because Falcons as a team are worse than what G2 currently has. Add on to that the fact that these leaks have not been confirmed by official sources. We're dealing with hearsay from KRL and Sheep Esports based on whatever sources they may have at hand. I'm casting a whole hell of a lot of doubt on the validity of these rumors. But the community is currently in uproar over this discussion. Many people are throwing their hats in the ring and giving their opinion, and I can't resist those sweet views. So today, we're going to talk about this potential trade, why I think it would be the worst thing Niko could do, and what this might mean for the future of both teams. But before we do, I hope you guys take a second and leave a like, leave a comment down below, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. It helps out immensely in the YouTube algorithm, so make sure you do it. And instead of the rest of the normal plugging that I would do here, I want to take a second and thank the person who posted the background footage for this video. There's a YouTube channel called CS2 Pro POV Custom Settings, and whoever runs this channel goes through, finds the POVs in demos from big pro performances, and posts them on YouTube edited down into nice chunks. As someone who has gotten very intimately familiar with going through demo footage to make videos recently, I can definitely appreciate just how much work goes into posting these POVs, and I want to credit them because I'm using their background footage of Niko today because I didn't want to go through the demos myself. So please take a second and check out their channel at the top link in the description down below. Send them some love from my community to theirs, because this kind of cataloging is an invaluable resource to the community. Both of you just want to get caught up and see how the pros play from their perspective, but also as a learning tool, a teaching tool, and using it for content like I make here on my channel. So thank you to them for doing that. And without any further ado, let's go ahead and talk about this Niko news. Okay, so on the surface, let's go ahead and assume that this trade is confirmed and is going to happen. Well, after this current season in the Shanghai Major, G2 would be giving up Niko for the 1.2 million buyout. They're not receiving any players in return, and they would therefore have to go out and find a new fifth to replace on their roster. On the surface, I'm sure this buyout is worth it monetarily for G2, but in the long term, I don't know what the hell they're going to do, because Niko is at worst a top 5 player in the world for this year, and since the player break has ended, he's honestly been, if not the best, the second best player in the world. So how are you going to replace them? On the whole, this feels like a just net loss for G2, and when you consider the team that they've built, the money they've sacrificed to get Malbs and Snacks in, I just don't see what G2 gets out of this in the long term. Now for the Falcons, obviously this is an upgrade. Niko, again, one of the best players in the world, so adding him to your roster is a great first step out of mediocrity. The problem is, what do you do with the rest of the roster? Because the assumption by everybody, including myself, is there's no way in hell that Niko would just be going to the Falcons if they're going to keep the same core and just kick like Dupree or Madden and slot Niko in next to Magisk, Sunpius, and Snappy. So the question going forward is, what else are the Falcons going to do to build the rest of the super team? Because again, Niko is a great net benefit to the team and they would be a lot better, but honestly on paper, I wouldn't say that roster is better than the current G2. So what else are the Falcons going to do in this prospective trade? Are they going to go and sign yet more star power? Are they going to look for a better IGL than Snappy? Like, what is the next step for Falcons to really be a contender? Because, again, Magisk, Sunpius, Niko is a great core of players to work around, but I don't think it's enough to be a consistent top threat, especially against some of these young and upcoming teams. These guys are only getting older, and Sunpius, while he's definitely a good opper, he's inconsistent against some of the best opping talent in the world. That's why I find myself so confused about whether this is actually going to happen or not. I don't see how any party benefits from this trade. especially Niko himself. Because I gotta be honest, at this point, the poison chalice that is Niko is really starting to show, because I can't think of any other player in the history of Counter-Strike who has had as much given to him as Niko has. He has time and time and again bent the will of organizations around his thumb to get rosters built around him that he wants. From Mouse Sports to FaZe to G2, the story of Niko's career has been, as soon as things aren't going well, it's Niko's way or the highway. And honestly, when you look at the totality of things, when the changes have been made in directly service of Niko, they haven't panned out to expectations. And unfortunately, that trend has continued to right now, because coming into this season of Counter-Strike, once again, we've bent to Niko's will to rebuild G2 once again to make it better around him. We've gotten rid of Hooksy because he needed to go. We got rid of Nexa because he needed to go. We got Malbs, who was a young, promising talent, and we're forcing Malbs to play roles that he doesn't necessarily fit because they would conflict with Niko to make him fit in the team, and he's done well despite of it. We ended up with Snax as the IGL because he would get out of everyone's way and allow Niko to play his own game, and because Niko himself wasn't ready or willing to assume the IGL ship himself. G2 have bent over backwards since the start of CS2 to continue to build better and better rosters around this core, from benching JKS to getting Nexa and then making the aforementioned changes during the last player break. So at what point does G2 get any return on this? And now, when the team seems to be on an upward trajectory, we're only going to get this brief season, this like next 4 or 5 months, to see what this roster can do before Niko steps away. It just feels odd. And especially when you consider his teammates. Niko was walking away from m0NESY, another player who was contended to be the best player in CS2 at various points this year. Nobody on Falcons, and next to nobody else in the world, can be put next to Niko that is as good or better than m0NESY. Unless Falcons are going to turn around and sign fucking Simple, and Simple is going to return to his godlike form, how do you get someone next to you, Niko, who is better than m0NESY? I do not see it. So, if we look again, totality-wise, this trade looks good for Falcons, obviously, but is it enough? Trade doesn't look good for Niko and doesn't look good for G2, which is why I'm so concerned that this trade just falls apart like the first potential trade that the Falcons did, because I don't see how every party walks away satisfied. Like, the only way this works out in the long run for both the teams and Niko is like Niko goes to Falcons. They make one more move after where it's picking up someone like a Blame F if they just want another support or someone who can pick up in the fragging, or they pick up a Glaive and drop Snappy and have him as the new IGL. And then for G2, they turn around, they take this big giant pile of money, they go knock on Simple's door and they say, "It's time, Sasha, please, you, m0NESY, together can rule the world as father and son." And we get the Simple revenge arc that we all desperately want. But outside of that, I don't see how this is a satisfying trade for anyone. Anyways, this is not me saying that we shouldn't trust what KRL is saying, that we shouldn't trust these leaks. I just think we need to take a step back and take it with a pinch of salt, because until the official parties say that the dotted lines are crossed and this is a confirmed trade, we need to just treat it as a rumor, because I think all this has done is cast a really dark shadow over G2 for the remainder of this season. Because if you're any of Niko's teammates, how do you not look at this man out of the corner of your eye like, is his heart really in it because he knows he's leaving for a big pile of cash in a few months? That's definitely horrible for the players. If you're m0NESY right now, I feel bad for you, because all the G2 marketing, everything they put on social media, is how you guys are so close, the family, the brothers in arms, Niko and m0NESY, the duo, they're going to be together forever. And now Niko might be walking away. And if you're someone like Snax or Malbs who just joined at the prospect of playing with Niko and m0NESY, how do you guys feel? Because now you're out of one of your best players and you've only been with the project for a handful of months. Anyway, those are my thoughts. People have been asking me about my thoughts on this rumored trade, so I thought I'd give them to you today. Just a quick, simple little video. Once again, shout out to the CS2 Pro POV channel. Make sure you guys check them out. Top link in the description. They did the hard work on these demos. I'm just using them because I was lazy, and they're doing God's work out there, so they deserve the support. Thank you to them. Shout out to advanced.gg. If you guys check out their products and decide to make a purchase, you can use my code LIONS10 at checkout for 10% off. It lets them know that I sent you their way. Thank you to them. As always, shout out to my channel members, Justin, Jesse, Furley, Bubblesj, and Dr. Cocktor for keeping the lights on. You can check the link in the description to become a channel member. It supports me directly, so thank you. And lastly, I'll be streaming tonight, twitch.tv/LionHeartZ CS2, playing some Counter-Strike, maybe playing some Deadlock, but having a lot of fun with that, so come check me out, drop me a follow, it's always greatly appreciated, and I'll see you guys soon in another video. Peace!